Hello. I Yesterday I was speaking about. I made a video about the political party that the 2020 had, tentatively called the 2020 party, political party, and what the goals of it would be. Now I want to talk about, and that was one of two ways forward I wanted to go to try and, with the goal of making countries more giving, allowing people to have more personal freedoms, and failing that, starting our own country that would guarantee us everyone, personal freedoms, as laid out in video number 7 about what I think needs to be done going forward. So yesterday was the first one, which was starting a political party. This one is the second one, which was to start a light religion, or if not a religion, then a movement. And I just wanted to go over the basics of what I've thought about it. I've given some thought to it. I'm halfway through writing the first book about, which is going to be about the political movement, the political party, and the second book I'm going to write is more about, we'll be covering this light religion, as I call it, or movement. I'll let people know when I'm done with it, when I've finished it. I haven't started yet. I've got in my mind what I want to talk about, but like I said, I'm halfway through the first one. I want to do that one first. I guess, well, it took me 4 days to get halfway through, so I don't think I'll be able to go at that pace, probably, but hopefully I'll be done the first one in a couple of weeks, and then maybe another month for the second one. Anyway, well, I'll tell you about when it's done, when they are done. The light religion would basically, like I said, I've got a lot of bugs, or a lot of details to work out about, but the basics is I've written some things down, typed some things down. If it goes a light religion or movement. If the religious angle doesn't work, then call it a movement. The main reason calling it a religion is just for tax purposes. Just make it tax free, save more money. If it were a religion, it's not meant to circumvent anyone else's religion or personal beliefs or anything else. It's not meant to be a religion that you must drop your other religion for. It's just a religion on top of a religion. It's basically just a religion for tax purposes. And everyone's welcome except people with violent criminal records. I mean, if you get pardoned for your criminal record, well, then you're welcome as well, of course. It would be based on goal number 6 of the 2020 political party video, in video number 9. Which was, quote, every law-abiding human must have automatic access to clean, safe shelter, food, water, clothing, internet, full health care, and free local transit. So what it would be based is, so every member should make a goal for themselves to live as basically as possible as their base. In other words, so that you can spend as little time working and as much time enjoying life and improving yourself. Kind of like Earth in the distant future in the Star Trek galaxy, a little bit, I think. Yes, I am a Star Trek fan. No, I'm not a fan of the new Star Trek stuff, the Discovery and all that crap. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, when Gene Roddenberry died, it didn't die with him. But when Star Trek Enterprise ended, that was the end of the series. That was the end of Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek. But anyway, I digress. You can be in this religion or movement. You can be as wealthy as you can be, but the goal is to be satisfied with less. To be able to live comfortably with a 200 square foot apartment, standard shared transportation and or cheap personal transportation, healthy food and water, and non-flashy, expensive clothing. Actually, a vegan diet specifically. Although if you cheat sometimes, that's okay. It's just do your best to stay within it. What I'd like to see is the religion or movement would build an apartment community with dozens, hundreds of people where dozens or hundreds of people can live this way. So there'd be a bunch of, so say it was for 100 people, you'd have 100, 200 square foot apartments that would have, you'd have a bathroom and a small kitchen, and you'd have a twin bed and a desk or an easy chair, and you'd have plenty of closet space, but that would be it. And you'd have a window, but that would be it. Be very, very simple. Maybe a balcony if the weather is decent. And you'd also have cooperative vehicles, so you can own your own car, but there would be hopefully we'd have cooperative, like a few electric cars that we could just use when we needed it. So we just take out, we need to use a car, we just borrow one of the group's cars and just take it and use it and drop it off. And one of the community, and anyway, this is where it goes into the, once you've built that, then you'd have everyone who lived there would contribute 12 to 24 hours a week of work a week to this cooperative. Like I said, we would have shared electric cars, and each resident can use to save and this would save every person having to have their own transportation. The goal is so people learn to be comfortable living with as little as possible. I don't mean living in a tent. I don't mean living, obviously these would have high-speed internet and all that stuff, but it's just to get comfortable with living with as little as possible. Again, not living in the woods or living in a bush or living with eating berries or anything. Just so you can get to the basics of living, so you can be reasonably comfortable, so you don't have to work your tail off to be comfortable, to get out of the rat race. I mean, if you want to you want to live in the rat race and be a part of this religion movement, fine. But the goal of it is to get people to be content with less. But it doesn't mean you can't go, if you're multi-billionaire and you have your own plane, that's fine. And in that case, if you didn't live in the community full time, you should try and live there a few weekends every year just to reacquaint yourself with the basics of it. There would also be a relaxation and self-reflection exercise. Now, I'm developing it now. I've developed it quite a while ago, but I'm going to talk about it in the book. I'm not going to talk about it here, but I've got to give you something in the book, some reason to want to read the book. But it was. Now, it's not meant to be, it's meant to be in addition, like if you do like I do transcendental meditation. So if you did TM, this is not meant to circumvent that. It's just meant to enhance it as something extra. It's not, just as the religion, if it is a form of a religion, just like the religion is not meant to circumvent your religion. If you're a Christian, if you're Jewish or Catholic or whatever you are, Muslim, it's not meant to go against that. It's basically, again, just there for the money savings through free taxes. Also, I don't like paying taxes to governments I don't approve of, but I still do it because it's not worth going to jail for. This would be a very law-abiding community. This is not breaking laws here. That's not the thing. There would be some sort of church, in a sense, where there could be weekly meetings, speakings, and a place where people could go to practice their relaxation, self-reflection technique, though they could easily do this at home by themselves. There would also be some business enterprises that would try and raise funds to pay for the community, so hopefully the community could get to the point where it pays for itself. That would be the goal. And then on top of that, to make money towards, leasing the land to start the country that we want to start. That's the goal. That's the goal of the religion. That's the goal of the movement. That's the dream. The goal is for people to get used to living with less, to be content with living with less, so they can spend less time. They have to spend less time, less work, less hours of every week working to satisfy their superficial desires. Their basic requirements. If you want to go and race cars or skydive or whatever, that's fine. But your basics should be, it should be that you can live more basically, so you can spend more of your time. And if you do want to work full time, that's fine. But if you can live like that normally, and you don't have to live like this again. You can just, if you come visit it once a couple times a year, that's fine. But if you live like this normally, get used to spending less, and then you can take more of your pay to do things you want to do and not what you have to do. And instead of spending $4,000 or $5,000 a month for, well, $2,000 or $3,000 a month so you can have a nice condo or have a nice home. And let's be honest, you don't need, you just want. Instead, you could spend $200 a month on a $200 or $400 a month on a small apartment. Instead of spending $1,000 a month on your cars or your SUV, or $600 a month on your SUV, you can spend, hard $50 a month on a cooperative vehicles that we all share. Doesn't mean you can't take a car out on your own and drive it. It just means that it would, we instead of everybody having a car and it's sitting around, they're all sitting around half the time. You have less cars, and they're being used. And I like the idea of electric cars. It's nice for the environment. And also, too, I should say that I want these enterprises we do to try and make money. Again, the main goal, the first goal is to pay for the community. The second goal is to put money aside for the country and, to lease the land to start the country. Now, that's obviously would be a long, long way down the road. You can't get a few hundred normal middle-class people together and, make a few bucks and think, okay, let's lease the land. You're going to need lots and lots of money for that. However, no one would be allowed to become wealthy, a millionaire or a billionaire, just from the religion movement. And that includes me. So, no, I don't want any televangelists flying around in private jets here. All excess funds go toward the goal of starting our own nation one day. And the funding would, and the books of the place would always be open to any member to look at. This cannot be. It's got to be for the greater good. I don't want people getting wealthy in this thing. If they are wealthy already and they come into it, or they make money from other things, that's fine. But I don't want them getting wealthy in this. Nobody becomes wealthy from this. Nobody becomes a millionaire just from this. They can be, So I know that's pretty vague. I know it's kind of a bit all over the place. Well, it's somewhat specific, but it's not as specific as I'd like. But I'll get into a lot more detail in the book. Like I said, hopefully be out in about a month and a bit. So we'll see. But that's the two basics. Video number 9 was about the 2020 political party. Hopefully, maybe, you never know, we can change things enough in the countries we live in that we can make it comfortable enough. We won't feel the need to get a home, get our own country. I doubt it, but it's a hope. Certainly, we can try and make things better. And this one is to try and to have sort of a movement, a religion, a light religion, a movement that like I said, can sort of guide us towards living with less, so we can enjoy life more. So we don't have to work our tails off just to have this house and car and pool and everything we want. And maybe you'd have a pool. In this complex, But in fact, I would like that, actually. I think that would be nice. Places for relaxation and exercise. Anyway, so that's what I'm thinking at this point. I'll flesh it out another time later. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.